Hello, and welcome back to the Purpose Partner Path podcast, where we help women who are at crossroads rediscover who they are so they can become unshakable and live with strategic grace. I'm your host, Wendy Gladney, also known as the Purpose Partner. And you know what? I am so excited because today I have a very special guest and I have a very special conversation that's going to happen. This young man has not only sowed into my life personally, but has also poured into me professionally. And he is my son, Freddie Gladney. Freddie is the CEO and founder of Gladney Family Enterprises, LLC. Let me tell you a little more about this amazing man. Freddie, he's a husband, a father of four, an entrepreneur, and mentor to many leaders. And after founding Gladney Family Enterprises in 2014 and scaling it past multiple seven figures, he has dedicated his life to equipping men and families to live with intention, with integrity, and spiritual strength. He has trained business owners around the world to grow and scale with purpose in the e-commerce space. His work blends business excellence with faith-driven leadership. He's passionate about building generational impact alongside his wife and children. Now, although this podcast is centered around helping women at crossroads rediscover who they are so they can become unshakable and walk with strategic grace, I also believe deeply in my heart that we can learn from every voice of wisdom that crosses our path. And today, Freddie is joining us to talk about something that affects every one of us, our mindset and the power of our thought life. As an entrepreneur and a business owner, Freddie is someone who understands firsthand how powerful our inner dialogue can be in shaping our outcomes. I believe his insights will bless you, they will challenge you, and inspire you to think differently about the thoughts that you entertain and the beliefs that you carry. So let's dive in. And as always, let's go grab our cup of coffee or tea and let's get started. Welcome, Freddie. And before we begin, do you have any opening comments? And what motivated you to be a guest on today's show?
Well, you blackmailed me and told me that if I wouldn't do it, you'd take me out the wheel. Anyways, first of all, it's a blessing to be here. I'm excited to be here. I appreciate you having me on. It is an honor to be on your podcast. I know you're doing a lot with the Purpose Partner, and you've been moving and shaking, and you're not new to this. You've been in this space of coaching and guiding, business coaching, personal coaching for decades. So, but I'm excited to be here and an opportunity to be able to connect, talk, and share ideas with my mom, with family, is exciting to me. And a dream of mine was always to be able to do business and life as adults with my parents, and for them to be able to do that with their adult children. And so I'm excited to be here and for us to connect and hopefully bless some people and
That's wonderful, and I'm so proud of you, and you know that. So let's jump right on in. Why does mindset really matter?
So, okay, why does mindset really matter? Mindset really is everything. Your beliefs drive behavior, is what I believe. And so what's interesting is I think that people sometimes can swing towards one end of a spectrum of thinking that the mindset doesn't matter at all, and it's all about the physical and what we're doing, and they don't realize the impact of their thoughts on what they do. And then some people maybe are too in the lotus position in Sedona, Arizona, sitting somewhere, Indian style with their fingers like this, and they don't really ever practically do anything. And so there's a balance of being practically helpful, but everything that you do stems from your thoughts. I've heard it said before that you do nothing on earth, nothing, without thinking about it first. You don't even tie your shoe without thinking about it. Now, it might be a subconscious thought, but it's a thought.
Yes.
And every human being is operating right now, including you and I, based on their thought life.
Yes.
And there's an old success principle, be, do, have, very popular, old school, been around forever. And people want to have a certain lifestyle or a certain income or a certain marriage or whatever. They want to have something. And so to have something, you got to do what it takes to have that. But you'll never be able to do what it takes to have what you want. More money, more purpose, greater impact, more influence, whatever, a better marriage. You won't be able to do what you have to do to have if you don't become the person that's able to do. So it's be, do, have. And being is developing your identity around a healthy, solid thought life. I could go on and on about that, but that's why I think this is so important. Your mindset, how you think about things.
Well, you are going to go on and on because I have several questions for you, as you know. So with that, you've often shared with me how much mindset influences success, which is kind of what you were alluding to, how what we think about really deals with how successful we will be. Now, of course, different people have different definitions of what success is. But for someone who might be feeling stuck or uncertain, how would you explain the power of our thoughts in shaping our reality?
That's phenomenal. I've felt stuck so many times in my life, and we're all going to have those moments where we feel stuck. And so the power of thoughts in shaping our reality when you feel stuck. I've heard it said like this from many entrepreneurs, authors, life coaches, businesswomen, businessmen. I've heard pastors say this, that you are operating software for a computer. A computer software is or I should say software. A computer itself is based off of the human brain.
Okay.
From what I've heard a lot of people talk about this. And so if you want to change something about the computer, you update the software, right?
Yes.
The hardware is the machine itself. The software is what it's operating off of and what it tells it what to do. Your mindset is your software. And so how do you use thought life to shape your reality? You change the software. Everybody is operating. If you look at like an iceberg, they say the majority of the iceberg is below the surface, right?
Yes.
And so you're operating on a program. And what's crazy is people that are failing, if you feel stuck, you feel like you're failing. Now, it's like you said, success is different to everybody. I just believe, how about we say this for now? Success is the pursuit of a worthwhile dream or goal.
I like
once
that.
you're on the pursuit, in my mind, you're already successful. You know, like it's not like you're not successful when you get there. I think it was Muhammad Ali said, it might not be Muhammad Ali, but he said, champions aren't made in the ring, they're merely recognized there.
That's a good point.
The champion happened on the journey, not when you got in the ring. But anyways, if you got this iceberg, if your mind is like an iceberg, if we're running the software, people that are failing aren't trying to fail any more than people that are succeeding are trying to succeed. And so when people are failing, they're not trying to fail. Of course, you would never try to fail, but people that are succeeding, they're also not trying to succeed. They're just succeeding because that's the program they're running off of. That's their software. It's a software program. And the way I like to word it is, here, I'll say this and I'll wrap up. I'm 6 foot. Now, could I try to be 6'2"? Sure, I can stand on my tiptoes. Yeah. And so standing on my tiptoes could get me to 6'2", let's say. But eventually that's gonna hurt and my calves are gonna get weak and I'm gonna go back to being 6 foot because I was trying to be 6'2". I don't have to try to be 6 foot. I wake up, walk out the front door, and I'm 6 foot. I don't have to try anything because it's who I am. Most people, they're trying to, when they're feeling stuck, they're not understanding how important thought life is and breaking through and creating what they want as a reality is because they're trying to get unstuck. Like I heard somebody say, most people are stuck financially because they're trying to figure out how to get unstuck financially when they really need to do is go serve a lot of people. And so your mindset's going to really set the foundation for that. So anyways, there's a software that you're running off of, a program, and you're not trying to fail. You're not trying to be stuck, but you're stuck because that's the program that you have. That's what its outcome is. Help you be stuck. So you gotta change the programming.
So if I'm understanding you correctly too, one of the things that I think I'm hearing is also if you feel stuck, you might need to look at your habits. You might need to look at what have you been doing that needs a change. So the next question I'd want to ask you is, what are some of the biggest mindset challenges that you've seen, whether it's been in entrepreneurship, leadership, or just everyday life that can keep people from moving forward?
That's great. And you can speak to this better than I could probably. I mean, I think challenges for the few people face, whether it's a mother, a wife, a husband, a father, a businessman, an entrepreneur, whatever they might be. The first challenge is awareness. Right? if you're not aware of something, you can't change it. And so it's like, man, so I think a lot of people, the challenge that they face is they maybe don't have healthy association of people around them that can, most people aren't in an environment that never judges them, but always challenges them and, or has a healthy level of challenge. And so that's one of the biggest problems is you don't know what the problem is. I think Tony Robbins said most people's problem is they think they don't deserve to have any. And so they don't realize that, you have some issues, you have challenges, there's solutions, but you can't find a solution to a problem you think doesn't exist. And so that would be step one. I think step two is people don't know where to start because this sounds so like ethereal. Software programming, it just sounds, and mindset. It sounds so out there. And so I think another big challenge people have is, okay, I want to change my mindset. I want to change this. The software that I'm running is failure software. I want to get on success software. So it just runs automatically. I don't have to try to be successful. I just let the program do its thing. How do I do that? People don't know how to do that.
And I think also that there are often times where people don't believe they deserve something. So they don't deserve success, or they don't deserve this wife, this husband, this opportunity, whatever it may be. And so it keeps them from moving forward because sometimes they can become their own worst enemy. So we talk a lot on this podcast about crossroads moments. So from your perspective, how does someone's thought life impact the decisions they make at turning points? And I know we've kind of touched on that, but I want you to just kind of give one example of, from your perspective, how someone's thought life can impact the decisions they make.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so you mentioned people don't think they're worthy. That's a software thing. That's a belief that they have. That software is running, and they don't believe that they're worthy. But okay, so I want to make sure I got this correctly. You're wondering how, when people are facing turning points in life, how can they? Here, repeat that for me.
So basically, just what's one decision that they can make right now, to pivot or to have a turning point in order to keep going and correct their mindsets?
Yeah, I think, a couple of things. When it comes to, making a pivot for their mindset, finding a mentor or a coach is huge, because we're not designed to do life alone. But people need an outside influence, because if you're in your stuff, right, the saying, you can't see the forest through the trees. When you're in it, you need somebody that's outside of it, and they love you, but they're not emotional about your situation. And so they can speak to what they see, and they're called blind spots for a reason. It's because you can't see them. And so somebody that knows you well, has fruit on the tree, has experience, has wisdom, has results or some success, they can speak to that. So you got to build trust with somebody that has what you want, and they can really help guide that. That would be, I think, one of the most important things you can do. Find some sort of a coach or a mentor that knows what they're talking about. They've already helped other people, and they have some experience in the field that you need help in. And there's a lot of other things you can do with that. That would be step one.
It's interesting because for 2026, God has given me a word. And in last week's episode, I talked about find your word for 2026. And the word that God gave me was walk. And he gave it to me for different reasons. One, he wants me to walk closer with him. The other one is he wants me to walk for my health. And then the other one was walk because people are watching your walk. And so I think even in tying in what you just said, it's important that we're careful who we're walking with, and because that can make a difference. So let's pivot a little bit and talk a little bit about those. You kind of tapped on it a little bit, but about breaking limited beliefs, just breaking that. For example, I have no problem saying I'm 64 years old, and I have been around the sun for a little while, and there could be something inside of me that says, oh, Wendy, you need to sit down because, the best years are behind you, and, just enjoy the roses and just the grandchildren and just sitting down and whatever. And even though all those things are wonderful, I know that God has more for me. I know God is using me. So how would you help someone that came to you that said, Freddie, I'm struggling. I have doubt, I have fear, maybe a little bit of imposter syndrome. What advice would you give them to empower them to believe that, from their mindset, that they can still have more to do and more places to go?
Sure. Well, that's a great question. I mean, somebody doesn't have to share our faith, but the Bible says that, young men will have visions and old men will dream dreams. And I think that, if your purpose was done, you wouldn't be here. And so if you're still here, you're still breathing.
Yes.
There's purpose. And there's a really good book that talks about different stages of being a man, but you could definitely apply this to being a woman. This is just being a person. But it talks about 6 stages: boyhood, cowboy, warrior, lover, king, and sage. And sage is that last step. And it's it's where you actually have the most influence, because you influence the kings. So I'm speaking specifically to somebody that might be older, in their 60s or 70s, maybe even older than that, maybe in their 80s, but they're, maybe in the last 10, 20 years of their life, and they're thinking 30 years of their life, they're thinking, okay, what can I do now? Well, first of all, what have you done? And look at your past and your experience, and think about all the people that you can impact and influence. There are not enough, for sure, fathers in society that help younger men or younger women with experience. Same thing with older women. There's usually more older women that are willing to, help, mentor, coach, guide.
Right.
But I think that that's huge. It just depends on the season of life you're in. But I would say the fact that you're still breathing is huge, number one. And number two, association is so powerful. This is so huge. If somebody's having those thoughts, a question that I would have for them, somewhat rhetorical right now, a question that they should ask themselves: where did those thoughts come from? My assumption is that they're not around people that are speaking life over them, helping them cast vision, helping them dream dreams. Association is one of the most powerful things on God's green earth. If you spend time with people that are constantly, I'm around people from 18 to people in their early to mid 80s, and all of them, even the people in their 80s that I spend most of my time with, they're dreaming. They're saying my best days are ahead of me. People in their 80s saying my best days are ahead of me.
Yes.
So that's my norm now.
Yes.
But if you're not used to that, it's easy to doubt yourself and to wonder what's going on if you're around a bunch of other people that doubt themselves and wonder what's going on, or if they think those were the good old days, or my best days were in the rearview mirror, or remember back in high school and it was so good. It wasn't that good, right? So anyways, I think that's a highlight on association. The kinds of people you spend around will shape what you think is possible, what you think is normal. Like if you're around a bunch of people that are struggling, struggle's normal to you. If you're around a bunch of people that are thriving, then you realize that thriving is your norm.
Right.
And
it helps you to keep on going. Powerful. You're right. It helps you to keep on going and growing. So, Freddie, the Purpose Partners' key pillars are helping women at crossroads, helping them become unshakable, and living their lives with strategic grace. And with that in mind, let's talk about building a strong, unshakable thought life. So with that, the question I want to ask you is for women at crossroads, which means that either, maybe they are an empty nester, their kids are gone off into college. Maybe they lost their job and they're trying to find a new way. Maybe a woman has recently become a widow or divorced. What mindset practices do you think are essential to help her get clarity?
So the mindset practices that are essential to get clarity, a handful of things. One, say the number one rule of success is define what success is for you. And then the number two rule of success is define your current reality. So to build a very strong thought life, first, we gotta start thinking about, what do we value? Do you know your values? It's crazy. If somebody, most people my age and younger, millennials, people in their 30s, 20s, you ask them to name the top YouTubers or the Kardashians, and people name all of them, name everybody. Ask them to, what are your top 5 values that shape how you make decisions? And they don't know. And that could have been me too. That breaks my heart. So we can talk about stuff that doesn't matter. So people, I think the first thing they can do in terms of building an unshakable thought life is they what are their anchors? What are their pillars values-wise? And what do they want for their life? What matters to them? What frames their purpose? And if they don't know, I don't really know what my purpose is. Well, what do you care about? Do you care about family? Do you care about God, faith, your spirituality? Do you care about helping others? What are passions you have time? So that's, I think, step one is defining what success would be for you. I think most people say success would be living through their values. So you got to define your values and maximizing that. Number two, in terms of building and this isn't necessarily in a specific order, but I think that's very key in the beginning to clarify values for yourself. And that might take some time. And everybody's in a rush because we live in a microwave society. Nobody wants to take the time to do things well. And, nobody wants to do it right the first time, but everybody can go back and finish it and fix it even if they do it wrong. So it's like, if, you might as well just take the time in the beginning to mull this over and to meditate on this and think about this. But we've said it 1,000 times on this podcast already. Get around other people that have strong thought lives. They will pour that into you. They will help develop you. They will grow you. There's so many good books out there on mindset. Mindset, I believe, I think it's Carol Dweck. Grit by Angela Duckworth. I mean, these are women that have done extensive research on being focused, resilient, perseverance, and having a strong mindset. The book Mindset by Carol Dweck, she's a PhD who talked about most people will fall into one or two categories: a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. Fixed mindset people, for the most part, she said most people fall in one of these categories or lean towards one of these ways. Fixed mindset is you just think, well, I'm only as good as I am, and wealth is for those people, it's not for us, and I can only accomplish so much. And growth mindset is within reason, I can do whatever I want to do. Within reason, obviously. I can accomplish whatever, I'm not stuck. And so I think that reading a book like that and starting to understand the value of having a strong mindset. It's interesting, Mom, you use the words, some key pillars or, whatever in order to be able to develop a bulletproof or a strong foundation for their thought life. And our thought life is just what we're thinking of currently. And so what's interesting is everybody my wife talks about affirmations. I like the word declarations even more, because when I say my affirmations, I'm just declaring things that I believe that I know God's already said, and I say them out loud with power. I like to pace or walk around because I'm declaring something. But everybody has affirmations. An affirmation is just an intentional thought. That's all it is.
Yes.
And so a lot of people walk around all day. But like for me, I used to say, I'm so overwhelmed. I used to say that a lot. So you're declaring something you don't want.
Exactly.
And so I think that watching how you speak as well, and you just start to take inventory day by day.
I like that, inventory.
Think about what you think about. And what are the things that I'm allowing to surface in my life? And then here's what's interesting for a lot of people. They'll start writing some affirmations down. Like, I'm strong, I'm focused, I'm building wealth, I'm creating purpose, I'm changing lives, whatever. And when they say it, it'll feel weird. And that's okay. That's normal. Because what I believe is and I've read this many times, what you think is what you want to believe. What you feel is what you actually believe. And so people have thoughts. So let me write that down. So what you think is what you want to believe. So somebody, like I remember a long time ago, a mentor of my wife's told her, I want you to look in the mirror and say you're beautiful and I love you. And she started crying and she said it and it just felt so weird.
Yeah.
She's having a thought, I'm beautiful. That's what she wants to believe. What she's thinking is what she wants to believe. But what you're feeling is what you actually believe. Meaning, if you say something,
right,
and you don't, it feels weird to you, it's because you don't actually believe it. If you want to believe it, but you don't actually believe it.
Well, you haven't really embraced it yet. And I think part of what you're sharing also is, like, we have to be careful what goes into our ear gate and our eye gate, because what we allow in is going to be what comes out. So garbage in, garbage out. Good in, good out. And then to also reconfirm what you were sharing in terms of the mirror is that it sometimes just takes a little time for us to reprogram ourselves as it relates to how we see something, even including how we see ourselves. I think that's a great segue for us to let's talk about some practical mindset tools, because I always like to make sure that we give our listeners some tools to help them navigate as they go deeper once they've looked at our podcast and kind of taken it in and can feel it, but we want them to go deeper. So what daily or weekly habit do you do that helps you strengthen your mindset?
Yeah, it's great. So it's all for me centered around my faith. And so people have to know what they believe and get rooted in their identity. I think mindset as well is really just strengthening your identity. Most people don't know who they are. And so, so they're trying to believe things that they don't believe. And so they need to start to remember who they are and understand that. But practical tools for me, I already said one of them, affirmations and declarations. Writing down a handful of things that you want to declare over your life. And most people declaring, I'm broke, things are never going to change, I'm so tired, I'm so stressed, I'm just so tired. That's why I just don't say that anymore. Whenever my wife and I are feeling like we're about to get sick, and my wife says, how are you? I used to say, oh, I'm getting sick. Why would I say that if I don't want that? So I don't say that. I do not ever say I'm getting sick. I say, I'm preventing an attack or whatever, meaning like an attack on my immune system or whatever. And I take vitamins, I drink water, and I get rest, and I don't have any sugar or alcohol or anything like that. And so, so that's another thing. Watch the words they speak, but it can be a lot for people. One of the most powerful tools is just getting a list of affirmations. Don't have too many, because if you have 500 affirmations, you're not going to be consistent with it.
Yeah, you're not going to have time to really practice them.
No, and it needs to be something you can do consistently, right? Average people do every so often what successful people do frequently. Average people do occasionally what successful people do daily. And so, and you made a comment on about how sometimes it just takes time to be able to believe it. Well, it absolutely takes time, because think, if you're 40 years old and for the past 20 years, you've been telling yourself, you're not that smart, you're going to be broke. You have 20 years of that.
That you got to delete those tapes.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean it's going to take 20 years to undelete it. It's not. Because now you're going to be intentional. Before we were just unintentional about it. But
right.
But affirmations, declarations are huge. Number one. Number two, I think that people don't. I think it's missed on a lot of people. Was on me. Is the benefit of physical health contributing to mental clarity.
That's been big for me.
Yeah, me too. A healthy body contributes to a healthy mind. So some people are like, the thought life's down, they're maybe feeling depressed, and obviously I'm not a doctor. I'm not.
Get outside and walk.
Yeah, I'm not. Some people might need help or medication or whatever, but a lot of people, and I'm speaking from firsthand, I've seen hundreds of people that I've known personally over the past probably like 15 years, that if they go outside, get vitamin D, drink water, stop eating processed foods and all the sugar and alcohol, and get outside, exercise a little bit more, get in community, create purpose, drink a little water, drink less soda and all the sugars. I mean, just some of those things. Get better rest, drink water, eat real food, get outdoors, get natural vitamin D.
Yeah.
You know, go figure, right? I mean, that would help a lot. And so that's another one of my habits. So literally a practical tool for me, and this is science-based as well. Andrew Huberman, he's a popular podcaster, he's a neuroscientist at Stanford, I believe, but he talks about this. He has a book coming out called Protocols, but it's a lot of this is neuroscience backed. And you know, immediately in the morning when I get up, I go outside and I get sunlight in my eyes, and that helps set your circadian rhythm and all that kind of stuff. And I drink water and lemon and salt in the morning to rehydrate my body. But some of these things, you'll be surprised how the mental clarity that comes. I think a lot of people, they're wanting to get their thought life right. And there's some deep work you got to do for thought life, like affirmations, but they're brain fog.
Yeah.
Or whatever, and they're struggling, and it's because they're not as healthy. So anyways, some of those things, it could be a cold plunge, a cold shower, it could be hydrating yourself in the morning with salt and lemon and water, getting outdoors, getting natural, getting sunlight in your eyes naturally, but then going to work on your thought life. So for me, every morning I do those things. I get outdoors, I drink my water with lemon and salt, I pray, and then I get in and I start speaking, I start declaring life over myself. I have a couple of different things that I say. They're all rooted around my identity. I'm reminding myself of who I am every morning, because we forget. We forget. And so every morning I reset that, and then I also reset my intention, and then I visualize. That's the last thing. I know I could tell you about to say something. I will just speak to this very quickly. Mom, a lot of people think they're unsuccessful because they don't know what to do. When in reality, they're unsuccessful because they don't know how to expect. And so everybody thinks, I just need to find the right business. That's not true, because no offense to anybody, but if you found the right business, what makes you think you're going to be a genius at it and become a billionaire? Like, it's not as if you already know everything. You just got to find the right business. Well, no, it's not about finding the right business. It's about becoming the right person, because we don't see things there's always obstacles and opportunities in front of us at all times. We don't see things as they are. We see things as we are.
Yes, I know that.
The way you are is how you view things. And so, so that's important to set your intention in the morning. So I visualize, and I set expectation. What do I expect? I expect favor. I expect abundance. That's my norm, right? I carry the glory of God with me everywhere that I go. I carry favor. People want what I carry. They notice me before I notice them. I'm setting expectation, and your mind is like a Google search. Whatever you put in there, it's going to go find. They call that your RAS, your reticular activating system, RAS. And so you just make your mind go to work for you. If you're in the market for a red Audi, what do you start noticing on the freeway more? On the red Audis.
Red Audis and red cars.
Yeah, that's the reticular activating system. So
you're attracting
if you're in the
it.
market for success, if you're in the market, you expect health today. You expect doors open.
Yes.
And you start looking for it.
I agree. I agree so much. So, Freddie, you've given us various good, delicious nuggets to just kind of take in today. And I just really love it. And so when I'm thinking about mindset and the power of our thought life, the other word that really comes to me that I'd like you kind of to wrap up for us is the power of discipline. Because I think discipline probably plays a big role in with the power of our thought life and our mindset. Because like I even mentioned earlier, I know that what goes in will be what comes out. So that means we have to be careful. So talk to me about discipline real quick.
Yeah, discipline is huge. I believe that discipline is getting yourself to do what you don't want to do because you have a greater outcome. And then eventually, James Clear talks about this in Atomic Habits. Eventually something becomes a habit. And so you really have to be disciplined for a period of time to develop a habit. And habit is king, habit is queen, whatever you want to call it. Habit is so important because it will automate success for you. Habits are part of the programming, and so I think that discipline will help you establish either a cadence and a system for success, or a cadence and a really successful system for failure. Some people are doing really, really, really good at failing because they have a really great system for failing. I mean, that's just, they're operating off their software, right? And so discipline will help you set up an incredible path. Where that path leads depends on the types of habits that you develop. But unsuccessful people and successful people both don't like doing the same things a lot of times. Successful people, though, their dislike is subordinated to the strength of their purpose. And so successful people, they don't want to be disciplined, but they don't want to is subordinated, takes a back seat to the strength of their purpose. And so that's why it's so important to, like I said, go back to the beginning, clarify your values. Because some people go, I'm not disciplined. It's because you don't know why you should be disciplined. So being disciplined for no reason doesn't make sense, but being disciplined because of X, Y. Anyways.
When you know why you get up every day.
%. And you got to find ways to create a sense of urgency, but that's a whole other talk on how to mentally get yourself to be able to create a sense of urgency. Discipline is important because if you can be disciplined for a season, it'll set you up because you'll create momentum in your life through habits, but it does take discipline to develop habits. Once you develop the habits, you're in a phenomenal place, but get disciplined, I think, with a handful of things. Your mindset, your mental life, your spiritual life, your physical life, your emotional life, right? Your thoughts, your feelings, your spirit, your body, and creating non-negotiables around what's going to be a staple in your life.
Non-negotiables. That's key. That's really key. And I know even for me, as I've gotten older and have dealt with different things in life, I've had to really even hone in more on my non-negotiables. So we're about to wrap up. And what I would really like to know from you is I really want you to share with how people can keep in touch with you or get to know you better or how they can connect. But give us a closing thought or comment that maybe I didn't ask you about, but it's something you want to make sure you leave with those that, happen to stop by our podcast and hear what we have to say around our mindset and around our thought life and just living on purpose.
Yeah. I would say find somebody, like I said, people need to go look for a mentor. And sometimes there can be a major gap. This guy's a multimillionaire or a billionaire, and the gap sometimes is too large. Sometimes you just got to find the most successful person you know. And success does not just mean money. Some people have a lot of money and they're not successful. They're successful financially, that's it. We say they're so poor, all they have is money. But if you do want to learn how to make money, don't find somebody that's broke. You need to find somebody that makes money. find people that have what you want. I know for me, I was looking for men and women. For me, primarily men that were married, had strong marriages, had a strong faith, were wealthy financially, were wealthy in impact, were healthy, and a part of their life, I could tell they were sowing into other people. So define what it is that you would kind of want your life to look like. And then you need to go look for people that are as close to that as you can get. And as you level up, you'll start attracting higher level mentors as well. But that would be one of my parting thoughts for people would be, you have to have association and people around you that can help you. And if your circle if you guys are all in the same place, if it's, your peer group, that's awesome, but that's not going to take you to the next level. You have to find people that are further than you. That would be one thing. And get to know them and buy them a cup of coffee and see if they'd be willing to help you. Most people don't have the guts. Most young people don't have the guts, or anybody don't have the guts to do that as much nowadays. And so I think if you told somebody, can I buy you a cup of coffee, pick your brain for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, a lot of people I think would be open to that.
I know. I've experienced it on both ends, and sometimes people have been shocked. They're like, wait, you'll make time for me? Yeah, I mean, you asked, so you're so right. And then there are people that I've stopped and asked, may I take you to lunch or whatever? And they say, sure, Wendy, of course. So you're right. We just sometimes have to just ask. So if people want to learn more.
Well,
okay, go ahead.
Let me add on to that, Mom. I think it's important because I want to help people really set themselves up to stand out. And it's so easy to stand out nowadays. Because of technology, I mean, it's so easy to be lazy. And so because it's so easy to be lazy, it's so easy to be entitled. It's so easy to be numbed out on social media and all these different forms and all these different things. It's because it's so easy to do those things. It's also so easy to stand out and to separate yourself from average. And so I would say that if somebody's going to reach out to somebody and try to find a coach, try to find a mentor, or just get some people around them that are a little bit more successful than them to help them. If you were to take somebody out to coffee or to take somebody out to lunch or whatever, bring a pen and pad, take notes, listen to what they say. And then, if there's some trust there, apply what they teach and don't go back and ask somebody for more help until you've implemented the things they've already given you. And so because a lot of people become success junkies and they're so excited to go to coffee with everybody and take notes and listen to podcasts and read books. I'm serious. And then go do nothing about it. Because it feels real good. We call that mental self-gratification, where you tell everybody about your goals with no intention on actually doing anything about it because you already got the dopamine hit from telling everybody about it.
Yeah.
And that's
I know
a real
people
thing.
like that.
And so anyways, I just wanted to add that there's a wealth of knowledge out there. We live in a world that is information rich and wisdom poor. There's no shortage of information. So you can go read up on just success, mindset, focus, and there's a lot of people out there willing to help. And another thing, I think this is important, Mom. I think this is very important for people to understand. You got to invest in yourself. It's so funny. People think it's weird to pay for personal growth, but they'll pay for personal destruction. I mean, meaning drugs, alcohol, going to a concert, which I like concerts. I like sporting events. Those are awesome. But people will pay for entertainment, but they won't pay for personal growth and development. They'll pay for leisure, won't pay for legacy. So be willing to invest in yourself.
That's a good one. They'll pay for leisure, but not legacy. I like that.
Yeah, most people would pay more for a new outfit or a tattoo than they would for business coaching. And so, I mean, to invest $1,000 or $100 or $1 million or $10,000, it depends on your budget and where you're at. You might only have $50, but to invest something in yourself is so key. So be willing to do that, right? Like if somebody were to work with you as a coach, or it might not be you, it could be anybody. There's a reason why your friend's advice is free. Most likely, right? And so, I mean, people that are successful, when you pay attention.
Yes.
Usually when you pay your money, then you start paying attention and you get more out of it. So I would just encourage people that are listening, be willing to invest in yourself. Because that's huge.
I agree.
Anyways, yeah.
So before I do my closing comments, how can people, follow you, get to know you? How can they reach out to you?
Yeah, it's so funny. I'm not out there as much on social media, but I am on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. Instagram, Freddie Gladney Official, at Freddie Gladney Official, and I every now and then have some content on there. On LinkedIn, I'm just Freddie Gladney. So if you look up Freddie Gladney, it'll be obvious it's me. CEO of GFE, and my tagline on LinkedIn is helping purpose-driven leaders start values-based businesses and knock out apathy. We're in 27 states and 3 countries, over a decade of mentorship and leadership. But yeah, so people can find me on LinkedIn, people can find me on Instagram, and people can email me freddie@gmail.com if they have questions about business entrepreneurship, and we can kind of direct them in the right in the right path.
Awesome. Well, Freddie, thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today. And as your mom, I am so proud of you. And as a fellow entrepreneur, I am inspired by you. And as the purpose partner, I am reminded that mindset is not just a tool, it is a compass that guides our steps, our decisions, and ultimately our destiny. So, to all the listeners, remember this: your thought life is powerful. What you meditate on becomes what you manifest, and what you believe becomes what you build. And no matter where you are on your purpose partner path, you can choose thoughts that strengthen you, guide you, and help you walk with strategic grace. So thank you again for joining me and my wonderful son, Freddie Gladney. And if today's message spoke to you, I would love for you to connect, but I also would encourage you to share it with someone else. And you can follow me on my social media at Wendy Gladney, including Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And if you visit my website at wendygladney.com and subscribe, you will get some free downloads that I hope will be a blessing to you. And as you're on your journey, if you need more information or help, please contact me. And until next time, I am your host, Wendy Gladney, your purpose partner. From crossroads to confidence, from shaken to unshakable, from purpose to power. And I hope you are still enjoying this beautiful first month of the new year. God bless and have a good day.